I'm Vicky the Nerdy Crone, and a happy new year to you. This video is me reviewing my year of 2024 and moving forward into 2025. I've decided to do one of these so that I can review it this time next year and see where I am and whether I've actually achieved what I've set out to do. And this year is a bit of a big year for me because I turn 50. I've done my 2024 review using a website called Xtiles, and this is a website which has a free version. You can use the premium version as well, and it is a website that helps you organise yourself. And I am not the most organised person in the world, I'll admit to that, which is why one of my goals is to get a little bit more organised. What new skills or knowledge did I acquire in 2024? Learning more about neurodiversity. My youngest is diagnosed as autistic. My older two children also have varying degrees of neurodiversity, as does my husband and myself. So I felt it was very important to learn more about that and how we can help each other as a family, and that has proved quite useful. I think we're all getting on better as we're starting to learn how to communicate better with each other. We communicate, but not always in a positive way. Video editing is something I've been learning about and trying to get the best out of my videos, and I've gone from not knowing anything about editing to knowing something about editing. Writing. During lockdown I discovered Wattpad and started writing fan fiction. I'm a big Tolkien fan. Obviously this fan fiction that I've been writing has been Middle-earth based, and it's got to the point now where what I hoped would be a little novel that I could just pop up onto Wattpad has turned into a series, and I am editing the second of what will probably be 3 books. Being able to express myself through writing and for people to be able to read it and enjoy it has been an amazing confidence boost, and a big finger up at all those teachers who did not support me. So yeah, I've been really working on my writing skills and building my confidence up. My aim is to start my own original fantasy story, which will hopefully go up to Wattpad sometime this year. But I need to start getting stuff down onto paper, electronic paper, and start building those characters up that I have running around my head at the moment. Next question. What are your 3 top travel destinations for 2025, and what do you hope to experience there? Well, my first answer is quite modest really. I would like to go and check out my local museums. Obviously I've been to them before. I've lived here 8 years, but I live in the most easterly town in the UK, and I would like to share some of our local delights with you, including our lovely museums. And so my aim is to take my little camera out and film myself and possibly members of my family going around the museums and experiencing them and talking about them, as well as some other places of note, and build up some nice little videos for that. Another place I'd like to go and visit this year is Bury St Edmunds and some of the other surrounding villages, because some of my family on my mother's side in particular came from that area. Some of my ancestors were born in Bury St Edmunds, and some of the villages around there as well, like Long Melford and Lavenham and places like that. So that to me would be something I'd really like to aim to do. And also, I hadn't put this on my list, but I'm going to add it in now. I want to go on some kind of adventure this year because I turn 50, and I would like to just do or go somewhere that's either completely unique and different that I've not done before. Bearing in mind, I don't have a passport, so I can't go abroad. Not unless I can afford to get one, but they're like 90 quid or something. And also, I'd like to go back to York again. I really enjoyed York. Last year I went there with my son to celebrate his 16th birthday because he's a bit of a history nerd like me. And we had a great time, and I'd definitely like to go back again. I've sort of become a little bit of a recluse in 2024, partly due to my confidence. I've put on a lot of weight, possibly due to menopause, possibly due because I haven't been out anywhere. And the other reason that I'm having trouble is I've got a plantar fasciitis, which I've had for months now, and despite everything I keep doing, it keeps flaring up and going away and flaring up, and it's making walking very, very difficult. Agony sometimes, and it's really messing with me now, and I know I need to go and see the doctors about it, but when you have to try and run the gauntlet at 8 a.m. in the morning when you're trying to get your little boy out to school, and then you're trying to phone up a doctor at the same time, it's just a little bit on the difficult side. So I keep putting it off because I think to myself, well, no, I've got to deal with other stuff, and then I don't go, and I really need to. So naughty me. Right, what's next? What have been my toughest challenges in 2024, and how did I overcome them? Perimenopause is the first thing that springs to mind. It has really been playing havoc with me this year. I keep saying this year, I actually mean last year. My brain still thinks I'm in 2024. It doesn't want to accept the fact that I'm turning 50 this year. My fatigue is absolutely rock bottom, and my body decides to betray me in lots of horrible ways. I'm getting used to it for the most part. I know I need to see a doctor about HRT. What are my top 3 achievements in 2024? I'm not sure I can really count these as achievements, but I'm going to list them anyway. Developing my writing, which I've already said I've been working on, and editing. Again, I've just basically repeated what I stated earlier. And those are my achievements, which means I didn't achieve very much this year, did I? Never mind. How do I plan to take care of my physical and mental health in 2025? Actually, I've made quite a list. I've got daily walks to try and get myself out of the house, improving my meditation. I've put aim for a 10 p.m. bedtime. Aim being the operative word. I can sometimes stay up till one in the morning when really I should be getting proper rest and going to bed at 10. Improving my morning and night routine, because I'm not very good at doing that. That's why I've started writing daily routine lists, but I might have to split them up into morning, afternoon and evening, because I'm following them and then my brain decides to go to Spain or something, and then I forget to tick things off, and then I think, what the hell? And forget to do my checklist. So I need to improve on that. Improve my fluid intake. Lots of Earl Grey. Although I think I should be drinking more water, but this time of year I just like hot drinks. I'm not very good with cold drinks, and I just don't like hot squash. When we went to Norwich last, my daughter took me into Bird and Blend going, Mum, I want to try the special samples, blah, blah, blah. Of course, by the time we came out, although I was very good, I did go away, and then we came back again half an hour later, and then I spent all my money in there. But I did come away with a nice Christmas box full of lovely herby tea and another bag full of hot apple cider tea, which is actually really, really nice. But a lot of those teas are really, really strong. So in the end, I had to get some honey just to add to them because they were just too intense. And one of them really didn't taste very nice unless you added a little bit of sweetness. And I didn't want to add sugar. I would rather add the honey. Finding my tribe and making friends. That is something that I'm not very good at. I have lost confidence around making friends, finding people who will accept me for who I am and will accept me for being a crazy little nerd who doesn't mean any harm to anybody and sometimes just completely loses the plot. Next on the list, finding my voice. Now, that is something I've actually started to do something about. And what I mean by finding my voice is not just gas bagging on YouTube. In my sort of 20s and 30s, I used to do amateur dramatics. And I also have a degree in drama, performance and theatre art. So I spent many years doing musicals and panto and plays, and recently used to sing in a choir. In fact, one of the societies I was with was a light opera company, and I miss all of that. And so recently, while I was going through Eventbrite, I was signing up to watch a talk this week on some research I want to do. And while I was doing that, I saw there's a event going on in my local area where they're setting up a choir. And I thought, I'd put that on my manifestation list, that this was something that I wanted to do. And there it is. And so obviously I should do it. So I got an Eventbrite ticket, and I'm going to go this week and see what happens. So what new hobbies and skills do I want to learn for 2025? Ooh, that's quite a good one. Building up my confidence with tarot reading with others. I have read tarot cards since my 20s, and I've read for friends and family over the years. I have got some pick a card readings on this channel. Feel free to have a look at them. Being a Tolkien fan, I have 2 Lord of the Rings decks, a Hobbit deck, which is quite a rare one to get hold of, and the Oracle deck, which is quite an old one. There's quite a few of them roaming around. So I did try and do a Mind, Body and Spirit fair last year. It was okay. I just felt really, I don't know, the energy. I'm really sensitive to energy noise, and it just threw me a bit. I feel more comfortable working in a calm and silent, or certainly calm, even if it's not completely silent, a calm room where I've got no other distractions apart from maybe the person that I'm reading for. That feels okay to me. But to be reading to someone and then have all this other buzzy energy around and people moving to and fro in, and that, it just didn't work for me. So maybe I'm not suited. Maybe I should have done a few of them. Maybe it was just my lack of confidence, or it's just that I'm not suited to Mind, Body and Spirit fairs, and I should look at an alternative way to do professional readings. Learning about outlining, because I'm a bit of a pantser writer. What I mean by that is that you just write reams and reams off on the seat of your pants, and then you have a heck of a lot of editing to do afterwards, because you then realise that that's not the way you want to write it, but you build your building blocks, as it were. In other words, I write very much like Tolkien wrote, and I think also George R. R. Martin writes that way as well. It's also known as gardener writing, discovery writing. I actually quite like the term discovery writer. I've heard about this outlining, and I'd like to at least know how to do it. But I do worry that it might not be for me, because it might feel too rigid, and I can't do anything that's too rigid. I need a lot of fluidity, but we'll see. It's something I'm going to explore. What am I leaving behind in 2024? Imposter syndrome. I need to tell myself I am good at things, that I am not useless, and that I have some kind of abilities. Just a slightly tangenty, and it's a bit more witchy. I work with Hecate. Now, I didn't wake up one morning and say, oh, I want to work with Hecate. No, it didn't happen like that. I've never been into deity work at all. I've always either worked with ancestors or local spirits. That was me. I didn't work with deity until she turned up. I was doing the school run. I was picking my little boy up from school. She came to me and she was so strong. I was just like, oh. And I thought, I know of you. I know your name. And I don't know why you're coming to me, because I don't work with deity. And it was like, she gave me the option of, do I want to work with her? And I thought I needed to give myself time to decide. And so I did some research. And then I definitely knew it was her, because the way that she came to me, and bearing in mind I only knew her by name, and I knew probably more about her through Shakespeare than anything else. And it was only when I read up about her and her epithets and certain ways that she appears to people did I realise, yes, it was her. And it was like, well, if she's taken the trouble to come to me, then perhaps I should work with her. And that's how it's been. To me personally, it's between a naughty best friend and a naggy mum. Sometimes she will be naggy mum, and sometimes she will be the naughty best friend. I don't have one in real life, but I need a naughty best friend who will whisper in my ear, do it, do it, do it, go on, do it. Because sometimes you need that, and I don't have one. So at the moment, she's my naughty best friend who gets me to do things that I really don't want to do. I don't do anything dangerous. that involves risking my life in any way. But, you know, things that are safe, things that are a little bit out of my comfort zone, she will give, I wouldn't say a gentle nudge. That she's really pushing me to get out of imposter syndrome mindset and start believing in myself. And I did say to her, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? And she said, I want you to teach and bear witness. And I'm like, what have I got to teach? I don't have any fancy qualifications. Okay, I have a degree, but it's not in witchcraft. What can I teach? What am I meant to teach? I haven't got where she wants me to be yet, but I'm sure the journey's going to be fun. Being afraid of both failure and success, which I think leads on to this. I need to try things without worrying about whether I'm going to screw it up or not, and just do it. You know, the whole thing of feel the fear and do it anyway. I need to stop worrying about things going wrong. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But at least I tried. And I'm really trying to work on not shutting myself away, getting myself out into the big wide world. And having the problem with my foot is making that worse. What are my most memorable moments in 2024? Already my little son getting his place at special school after 3 years of fighting to get him out of mainstream and get him an EHCP and get him an autism diagnosis. He's now in the school that he needs to be in. After quite a turbulent term last year, we've really turned a corner. I say that, touch wood. Tomorrow he might refuse to go to school. But since the new term started, he's been a lot better going to school. He's settled. He's happier. He's made friends. He's not isolated from other children. And he's getting on with the teachers. It's just lovely to see. He's starting to blossom now. Going to York with my oldest son, we mentioned earlier, we had a great time. Going to Caister was memorable. Didn't quite go to plan how we wanted it, but next year we're going to go to, or this year should I say, we're going to go to a different caravan site, a little bit quieter. That's going to be interesting. Taking my youngest to Panto. We went to what they call a relaxed performance, which is aimed at people with special needs, autism and stuff like that. And my little boy really enjoyed it. It was great. And hopefully we'll be going next year as well. And I also had the privilege of attending the memorial unveiling in my local park for 2 women who were accused of witchcraft. They came from Lowestoft and they were accused by their neighbours, and they were taken to Bury St Edmunds for trial. And this particular trial was used as the blueprint for the Salem witch trials. And my daughter's 18th birthday, she was supposed to be born in March, but she decided to be born at Imbolc instead. And then we got offered an allotment plot last year as well. I'm kind of hoping we still have the allotment plot, because we have not been there for a little while and we've not been contacted about paying our this year's fees, and I'm just a little bit worried we might have lost the plot, but fingers crossed we haven't, because we've not been able to go in for a little while. But hopefully as the weather warms up we'll go back and check and see if we've still got a plot. How will you challenge yourself to step out of your comfort zone in 2025? Oh, that's a good one. What I want to do, and it may not happen this year, but it's something that might take quite a few seasons to do. But years ago, I'll go into the background of this. Years ago, when I was living in Colchester, myself and a group of friends got together and formed a group that wanted to get a memorial plaque in the castle, in Colchester Castle, because that's where a lot of women were, and men were, held accused of witchcraft during the Hopkins trials. And although we didn't get one in the castle, I know that eventually they did succeed in getting one in Castle Park, which by that time I'd moved on, and they actually carried on and managed to get that done. So that, and combining with the memorial that's been unveiled in my local park, thought occurred to me that it would be nice to do a pilgrimage to all the different memorials of people who were accused of witchcraft. It just feels right to do, because yes, they weren't necessarily witches. Some of them may have been wise women and men, and some of them may have just been very poor people, vulnerable people, people local communities would want to get rid of. And I just felt it would be nice to show my appreciation by actually visiting those places. But obviously I've got to research where they are, and then I'd want to research the actual victims and who they were. It's a challenge, and it's something I really want to do. And if anyone else fancies getting involved into twinning a pilgrimage, then drop me a line and see what we can do. Because there'll be certainly a lot of research to do. Whether I can do it all by myself is another matter. Another thing I want to learn about this year is I feel really drawn to discovering more about Druidry. It was something that when my kids were younger I thought about, and thought it would be nice to find out a bit more, but then life got in the way, and now that I've got kids that are much older, even though I have a little one, it's different now because I have 2 big ones who can they do look after him when, which frees me up to explore things, which is something I wasn't able to do when they were younger. So Druidry is something I would really like to explore. I've always been fascinated by local folklore and the stories around here, because East Anglia's full of them. But also, like, working with nature spirits, ancestors and things. That's always something I've done on my own. I was a member of a coven once in my 20s. It was a so-called Wiccan training coven, and I ended up having a very bad experience, and after that I've worked alone, and I'm sort of getting to a point in my life where I'd like to not have to be alone. I'm not sure if a coven is right for me, or whether I can be part of a group. I'm certainly not keen on really Wicca. No offence to those who are Wiccan. I don't feel that's me, and I sometimes feel that spirit pulled me out of that sphere because that was not the path for me. That was a painful pull at the same time. Daily walks keeps coming up on this list. That's probably just to keep reminding me, you know, get out, leave the house, get out in the fresh air, because that's where I need to be. I live 10 minutes from the sea. I've lived near a park. There's a wood half an hour away. My health and everything else is just making it harder for me to get out. I desperately want to get out. Get back into crafts. Yeah, I spend too much time faffing about with games on my phone. I want to use that time to get back into my crafts. I love embroidery, I love sewing. I used to be a historical reenactor, so that was a big thing for me. And then my father-in-law, he's now in his 80s, he could no longer cope with the driving. He used to be our driver, and he'd come with us, and we did it as a family. And once my father-in-law retired, my husband said, well, we're not going to be a burden to, because neither my husband or I drive. We've never passed our tests. When I tried to learn to drive, I kept falling asleep at the wheel, and I just decided that this wasn't safe for me, perhaps. It wasn't meant for me. And my husband's, he detests driving. He can't cope with it. It's too much for him, so he doesn't drive either. And so we've managed quite well as a family without a car. You know, it can be done. It's not as bad as people think. Okay, you have to adjust, make a lot more adjustments, and it was probably a lot easier now not to have a car than it was, say, 10-15 years ago, but it can be done. But because of that, we've had to give up pre-enactment, because he says that without a car we're just a burden on a group, so we're not doing it. I desperately would love to get back into reenactment, but unless I can find a group that doesn't have a problem with me not having a car, you know, that's not going to happen anytime soon. But in the meantime, I can still practice my embroidery and do my crafts. What have I learned in 2024 that I will carry into 2025? Let's see if you enjoy these little nuggets. Take each day as it comes. Forgive myself for my mistakes. Celebrate the little wins. Definitely, little wins are just no shame in asking for help when using supports. That's something I've really had to get used to this year. And one size does not fit all. Too many people think that everybody should do this and everybody should do that and everybody shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. But we all need to learn that we're all individuals, we all have different needs, and we need to take care of each other and learn to accept each other's differences, because nobody is the same. Everybody is different and unique, and we should all just take care of each other. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've got a lot of editing to do. Hopefully I will not make a hash of it. All that remains to be said is take care, look after yourselves, and mind how you go. Have a good 2025.